Welcome to That's Good Sports. I'm Brandon. We're gonna kick his ass, is what people usually say to me, Perna. And Von Miller says the Broncos are going to kick the Cardinals' asses.
We're gonna go out there and we're gonna kick their ass. This is the way I'm feeling. When we're gonna kick their ass though, make sure you put that up there. We're gonna kick their ass.
Not their butts, or behinds, or heinies, not rear end, not muddy fun holes, or any of those other PC terms. Kick their arse.
When we're gonna kick their ass though.
As a lover of chickens, I find it very strange. The first ass Von Miller publicly admits to wanting to kick is that of a Cardinal. Do birds even have asses? And why don't NFL stadiums sell the meat of the team mascots at concessions? This is the battle of the bad, battle of the bastards, the battle of what could have been. Watch Josh Rosen closely. Does he look like a quarterback who could be better than Case Keenum? Should the Broncos have taken him at number 5? This is the Broncos versus Cardinals prediction episode. I'll give you a few reasons why each team could win this game. I apologize, between the short week, the fucking DMV, and some personal shit, I don't have time for the normal prediction episode today. However, if you like coaches who refuse to acknowledge their players' strengths, if you like hosts who don't know how to talk, this episode is for you. That's Good Sports. Please, if you're new here, subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you don't subscribe, then I will fucking die. I will die a miserable, lonely death. Also, this episode is sponsored by BetDSI.com, one of the best, most trusted sports books out there. If you use my code GS100, BetDSI will match your first deposit up to $1,000. That is free gambling, sports betting money. There's a link in the description to get you to BetDSI. And the Broncos in this game are 1.5-point favorites on the road with an over-under of 41.5, because neither of these teams seem to be able to score more than 20 points on any consistent basis. Arizona this season has scored 6 points, 0 points, 14 points, 17 points, 28 against the Niners, and 17. The Broncos have put up 27, 20, 14, 23, 16, and 20. The only goddamn 30 is Phillip Lindsay's jersey. Reminder, this is 2018, an NFL season that has seen the highest amount of pass yards per attempt, yards per game, and points per game in NFL history. Apparently, the Cardinals and Broncos didn't get the memo from Roger Goodell. Just like all of the weddings of my last 4 closest friends, the invite must have gotten lost in the mail. Now, the first reason the Arizona Cardinals could win is because they are playing the Denver Broncos. The first reason the Broncos could win is because they're playing the Arizona Cardinals. Pretty simple. A reason the Broncos could win, rookie quarterback Josh Rosen. Assuming David Johnson doesn't rush for 200 yards, which he is talented enough to do, the Broncos defense has done very well against young QBs this season. That is also assuming the secondary doesn't give up a couple of 50-yard touchdown passes, like they did to Sam Darnold, who threw 3. But he only had 198 passing yards on the day. Jared Goff had his worst game against the Broncos, 1 interception, 201 passing yards, and a 50% completion rate. Josh Rosen has so much to learn before he becomes an effective NFL QB, and I believe this defense as a whole can continue to contain him at the very least to his season average, which is like 200 yards and an interception. Also, Josh Rosen, when asked who his favorite YouTuber was, said,
At Brandon Perna.
No, come on, Josh.
Brandon Perna.
Never trust a man with poor judgment like that.
Thank you.
A reason both teams could lose, coaches. Vance Joseph on a hot seat. A seat so hot his ass is redder than the Cardinals logo. Guess who else is on the hot seat? Mike McCoy, Cardinals offensive coordinator. The man who was fired mid-season last year in Denver is already on the chopping block in Arizona because Steve Keim was drunk when he hired him. Also, Arizona is dead last in the NFL with 220 passing yards per game. They are also dead last in rush yards per game with 64. That average could jump to 150 rush yards per game, though, after facing the Broncos' run defense. Sad, but true. the Denver run D, another reason the Cardinals could win. I'm willing to say the Broncos offense and Cardinals offense have the exact same problem, not getting the ball in their playmakers' hands. These hands are small, I know, and they are playmakers if they get the ball. In Arizona, that's Larry, the real Fitzgerald, and David Johnson. In Denver, that's your goddamn running backs. With the elections around the corner, though, I'd like to take a second and endorse my favorite candidate to win the midterms. Cardinals head coach Steve Wilks. If that doesn't look like a man who can get things done in Washington, then I will admit I am clearly not qualified to discuss politics. Get out there and vote for Steve Wilks. Even if he's not on the ballot, especially in Arizona, just write him in. A reason the Cardinals could win, the Broncos' ability to tackle. That's why the run defense is bad. Tackling. That's the deep, that's good sports analysis you've come to love. Everyone loves sausage, but nobody wants to see two pigs fuck to produce that delicious treat. Today I'm telling you how the sausage is made. As fans, we should have seen this coming. Besides the Raiders game, the team filled with players older than Larry Fitzgerald's dad on Twitter, the Broncos defense has been bad at tackling. You can talk about scheme, blitzing, coverages, whatever. Right now, the Denver defense is playing poor fundamental football. Most of the fucking NFL is, for that matter. 46 missed tackles on the season for the Broncos. Arizona is right there with them at 45. And when running backs get outside, the Denver defenders aren't pushing them back to contain. Instead, safeties, corners, and linebackers are just missing tackles. Call me crazy, but tackling is, in my opinion, the best way to stop a ball carrier from scoring. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is the best way to do it. A reason the Broncos could win is their defensive line and pass rush, as long as they're not asked to tackle. Look, Mike McCoy is taking the heat for sucking at offensive coordinator, but the truth is, he has a terrible offensive line and a rookie quarterback who stepped in for Sam Touchdown Machine Bradford. Former NFL head coach Jeff Fisher actually thinks McCoy and Vance are doing a hell of a job with his former quarterbacks Bradford and Keenum. In Fisher's opinion, Case Keenum and Sam Bradford are everything you want in an NFL QB to be replaced by your future starter. McCoy left the Broncos and landed in deja vu hell. No offensive line, only one legit receiving threat who is old enough to give John Gruden wet dreams, and a young QB who needs a lot of time to develop. The one small difference is Josh Rosen may actually end up being good. I don't think he'll be good this year, and I don't think he will be good Thursday night. If there is reason for hope, it's that the Broncos sacked Jared Goff 5 times, and that happened against a very good offensive line. And because Goff held on to the ball too long, because, dare I say this, good coverage in the secondary. The interior of the Cardinals line is especially weak, so I'd like to see Miller or Chubb or even Will Parks stunting through the middle. If they have another 5-sack game, the Broncos win. And Rosen will make at least one terrible decision, like endorsing me as a YouTuber.
At Brandon Perna.
The Cardinals are a bit of a mystery to me because it's like really hard to sit through one of their highlight videos. I haven't watched Cardinal football. I do have to say, a reason the Cardinals could win is David Johnson. Oddly enough, a reason they could lose is David Johnson. Over the last 2 weeks, he's had 18 attempts in each of those 2 games with 55 yards in both of those games. If Arizona runs him 18 times against the Broncos, that's probably 110 yards and 3 touchdowns. Which is interesting because Arizona's offense is actually pretty balanced. They suck at running and passing. Now the Broncos could win if they run the fucking football. How many goddamn weeks in a row do we have to say that? It's almost like Vance Joseph and Bill Musgrave aren't listening to what the fans want. And all great coaches do exactly what the fans yell about on Twitter. And guess which NFL team is second worst against the run? The Arizona Cardinals. The Broncos have the number 1 spot in that category. Except the Cardinals have given up an NFL worst 10 rushing touchdowns. They have also given up an NFL worst 53 first downs to the run. So I swear to God, even if the Broncos get down by 14 in the first half, if they don't run the fucking football 50% of the fucking time against the worst rushing defense in the NFL, I am switching this show to That's Good Rams in protest. Don't test me. I mean, the Broncos are just ripe for success in the run game here, especially when you consider the fact that Royce, Freeman, and Phillip Lindsay get to practice against the worst run stoppers all week. What better way to prepare for Arizona than practicing like the way you will play against a bad run defense? The strength of the Cardinals defense is their secondary. Broncos fans actually thought Elway might try and make a trade for corner Patrick Peterson, because that would fix everything. With Peterson, Tre Boston, Budda Baker, and Antoine Bethea, I see a recipe for Case Keenum interceptions. So run the ball and negate their only other strength on defense, pass rusher Chandler Jones, who will be up against Garett Bolles. And we know how that movie plays out. Like The Mist, gut-punchingly bleak. Who gets fired first? Let me know in the comments. Vance Joseph, Mike McCoy, or Joe Woods? No matter your answer, the truth is that fixes nothing for either team in 2018. If the Broncos lose this game, you can guarantee BetDSI will not have them favored ever again for the rest of the season. Right now, as a 1.5 point favorite on the road for Thursday night means Vegas thinks very little of the Cardinals. I don't know who will win this game, but the final score will be 20-17, and I'm betting $100 on the Broncos to win with my BetDSI money, because I don't give a shit. And that is not Patreon money, guys. BetDSI gave me that via the sponsorship. I do have Big Dick Patreon shout-outs for Bill Stock. Stock going up, Bill. Dave Mahoney upping his donation to $3. Patrick Hennessy, heir to the Hennessy fortune, just throwing his money away on me. Stud Puffin, and DJ Booney. And this week, Will Keys posted the all-22 film breakdown of Chad Kelly's kneel against the Ram. If you're not supporting my Patreon, patreon.com/ThatsGoodSports, that is what you're missing. Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here. Good Lord, subscribe. I'm on Twitter at Brandon Perna, Instagram at Brandon Perna, and Will Keys and I do a weekly podcast. It's on iTunes, That's Good Sports Podcast, and my second channel, That's Good Podcasts.